And Dana Nessel joins me now. It's good to see you, Madam Attorney General. What's your biggest concern about this particular facility?
Well, I don't even know where to start with that. I mean, DHS could not have picked a worse place to have placed a facility that is intended to hold at least 500 detainees, right? It's within a mile of an elementary and a middle school. It abuts all these residential households and neighborhoods. It's in a floodplain that flooded as recently as last July. It only has a 6-inch sewer line because it only has 6 bathrooms. It's in close proximity to protected wetlands, and it is a public safety nightmare because it's right in the middle of metropolitan Detroit, where over 4.4 million people live. We are probably going to see massive protests that the police in the community simply don't have the resources for. And even the protests that have already happened have been wildly expensive for this community to handle. So it's bad on every level.
And to be blunt, this is just one move by the Trump administration, which is also looking to expand its contracts with local jails. You just heard a reference to that. Private prisons, they're getting a lot of contracts. Is that also happening in Michigan? And what's the overall impact you are still seeing at a time when we heard from the administration that they're backing down?
Well, firstly, the fact that DHS seems to come in and violate federal law, state law, local law. I mean, it's the height of irony to me that you're saying for a lot of these folks, we're detaining these individuals and deporting them because they did not follow the law in terms of coming to this country or staying in this country. Whereas it's totally fine when it's DHS or ICE who is violating the law. And they have repeatedly, and we have thousands of instances where, habeas corpus petitions have been filed and the judges, even very conservative judges, have ruled in their favor. So obviously, DHS and ICE are not exactly the agencies of law and order that I think the president would like us to think they are. But what we've seen in other areas of the state where they're having these detention facilities is, people are really upset about it. So again, to put it in the heart of metropolitan Detroit, near 2 of our airports and 2 of our major freeways, and literally within 10 minutes, millions of people can get to this site where we know it's going to impede traffic and where we know it's going to cause major disarray and disruptions for this community. It's almost like they're trying to punish us here in metropolitan Detroit. This is not making anybody safer. It's making a much more dangerous situation of one that doesn't have to exist in the first place.
So all this got underway under Kristi Noem. Do you have any optimism Markwayne Mullin will be a different kind of leader?
I think that's the hope. I mean, this warehouse that we're talking about was purchased under Secretary Noem, now former secretary. I hope that Secretary Mullin will be a little bit more reasonable and at least want to engage in conversations with us here. Look, I don't like what's happening at these detention facilities in the first place, and we're seeing all kinds of egregious actions that if we were the state and we treated, convicted murderers and rapists this way, we would get sued for millions of dollars because the conditions are so bad and they're so uninhabitable. But that being the case, here we have Michigan Department of Correction prisons that are vacant because, fortunately, our crime rate has gone down significantly. And there was no effort to even talk to the state and to say, well, what about those facilities? Would those be maybe better situated to house people than trying to convert a warehouse into that? It just makes no sense. I'm hoping that Secretary Mullin will understand that. And unlike Secretary Noem, that he'll at least try to talk to us at the state or at the county or at the local level, which is generally what happens when the federal government comes in and wants to establish a presence. I think it's the least that they can possibly do. And I hope that Secretary Mullin will agree with that.